Hey guys, look. Kale Clarkson. It shall be gone. I can breathe for the first time. I feel like maybe I waited a little bit too long to harvest this, but here we are. Let's do stuff with some kale. Let's get this into a little bit more manageable of a size. For the recipes tonight, I think I'm gonna make a kale salad, kind of based on a Strong Hearts recipe. I'm also gonna make some kale chips, nice bite-sized chunks, maybe a little bit bigger, especially for the ones that we're gonna put in the dehydrator. They're gonna shrink up a lot. I think for the night, this should be enough. What do you say? I'm gonna store the rest of this in the refrigerator and see how it holds up. I'm gonna wrap it in a damp towel and keep it in one of my drawers and kind of pick at it throughout the week, making some salads, maybe juicing a few of these. We'll see how the week goes. You never know what you're gonna get. What I'll do is I'm gonna put a big rubber band around it and put it in the fridge. Great gift, Dad! Thanks, son. All right, I filled this pot full of water. What I'm gonna do is kind of rinse the kale really well, make sure there's nothing crawling on it or any bad pieces, and get it all in a big bowl. And then I'm gonna kind of divide it up into two little things, one for the kale chips, one for the salad, and then it's party time. No. Everybody's gotta get along, right? I know. All right. Kitty, kitty, kitty. Oh, I know. You got a good life. Can I make the salad now? Can I make the food? Next, we're gonna cause a ruckus in the house with the old Vitamix. I recommend not doing this at 10 o'clock at night when all your dogs are trying to sleep. Meow. Wilder, leave her alone. Carl Malone, Wilder. The cool thing about having the Vitamix is I can make lots of great dressings with it, and it's mostly based on cashews. So, for the kale chips, we're gonna start with our cashews. We got a half of a cup of soaked cashews. I soaked them for a couple of hours today. Half a cup of nutritional yeast, some apple cider vinegar, some of your favorite hot sauce. I've got Frank's in the pantry, so I went with that. And salt. Go with a little garlic powder. Ooh, smoked paprika. This is like one of my favorite spices. I use it in like everything. And a little bit of onion powder. Ah, I spilled it. Before we turn the blender on, let's just grab some water that we can drizzle as we blend this up into a fine, thick, creamy consistency. All right, now we just have to blend it all up. Oh, that is good. Got a little zing to it. It's really, really good. Now what I'm gonna do is pour it all over the kale and work it in with my hands for about 2 to 3 minutes. Get out of the blender, get out of the blender. Make sure you have clean hands, so if you have a dog that you've been petting, wash your hands before you touch the kale. You're gonna be eating dog hair all day. I know, from personal experience. It's good to really work this with your hands because especially I let this kale get a little too big, and massaging it's gonna break it up a little bit and also works all those delicious flavors from our cheesy sauce into the kale leaf. Nice big pieces so that when it goes into the dehydrator and shrinks down, it'll be bite-sized, delicious little chunks. All right, we got about 3 trays worth of kale. I can't wait to see how it turns out. I'm gonna put them in the dehydrator for about, I'm gonna put them in overnight, I think around 150 degrees. See how they turn out. For the kale salad tonight, I wanna make a nice honey mustard dressing. I wanna use stone ground mustard, but I don't have any here, and I'm gonna make do with what I have. When we went camping last week, we went to this place called the Oil Well, and they had all sorts of specialty oils and salts, and they had some mustard here, and I got the garlic mustard, so I'm gonna use that in this recipe. Let's start with our mustard base. I'm gonna use about 1/4 cup of this stuff. Let's go with some garlic powder and onion powder again. Like a half a teaspoon of mustard seeds, just to see what it does. You know me and cashews. I've already got some soaking because of the kale chip recipe. So I'm gonna use them in this recipe as well. I'm gonna go with a half a cup, and that's gonna add a nice creaminess to this salad. Now, typically I use agave for the sweetener, but I was thinking tonight, I have some dates in the fridge that I normally use for smoothies. I'm gonna pop those in, take the pits out and blend it, and just see what that does for a little variation. I'm gonna put a little bit of olive oil in here and blend it up. You can omit this if you're trying to stay away from oil. It's not really necessary. It doesn't add a huge depth of flavor. It's more like a consistency thing. You get a little fruity note from it. Fruity note. And a little bit of salt and pepper to taste. Water, and we will blend again. You might need a little bit of water, so just have some, have a cup with you handy. I really like the sweetness. I think the sweetness is there with those 2 dates. So I'm gonna leave that alone. But I am gonna color it a little bit with some turmeric, give it a little bit more of a mustardy color. And I wanna add a little bit more vinegar to this. I know that regular mustard has vinegar already, but I need a little more zing in this salad dressing. Let's blend this together and see how it turns out. Now I'm gonna pour the dressing in the kale and mix it just like I did for the kale chip recipe to help break this down and make it a little bit more chewable, if you will. You don't have to use your hands. It's just more fun to get up in there. So if you're a germ freak or whatever, you can kind of use tongs and toss it for like 4 years. They look like big, strong hands, don't they? We're gonna set the kale aside and add the fixins. I'm talking walnuts, I'm talking apples, I'm talking shredded beets, and if I had fresh carrots, I would use those, but I let them go a little too long and I gotta bring them to Mockingbird tomorrow to feed to the piggies. A 1/4 cup or a half a cup of walnuts, toasted walnuts. You can candy the walnuts if you want, but I just went with some toasted walnuts. Yummy. It smells really, really good. It smells so good. All right, I guess we just have to try this salad and see if I know how to make a salad, for crying out loud. I think Papa Joel and Papa Nick would be proud over at Strong Hearts. This is really, really tasty. You guys should definitely try this. Now all we have to do though is wait overnight and see what happens with these kale chips. So stay tuned. Dun, dun, dun. All right, everybody. So I dehydrated my kale chips for, it took about 6 hours. They shut off in the middle of the night and they were nice and crispy and delicious when I tried them the next morning. But let's pretend that I didn't try them so you guys can get a real good shot of me giving this the old-fashioned taste test. See how well these kale chips came out. Now remember, there's another video of this that Chris and I did on the Vegan Zombie channel. I'll post a link to that below. Cheesy, crispy deliciousness. Let's just give it a try and see what it tastes like. This can be a great snack that you grow in your own garden. Really easy to grow kale. In fact, the kale in this recipe that I use, I didn't even plant this year. This happened to reseed from last year. So, free kale chips. Do you know how much kale chips go for these days? Well, thanks for hanging out, everybody. And remember, if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to this channel and click the little notification bell so that you know whenever I post a video for your viewing pleasure. Up next, I'm gonna have to think of a pasta recipe to show you for that sauce that we made. So that's gonna be our next video, so stick around for that.